This is Donna Reed, and I traveled up with people in 1976. Most of you know that. And if not, then you're watching like the 51st episode. And I am here on a lovely fall day today with Tim Lane. And we had some lunch. I'm in Denver visiting, and I asked him, roped him, invited him into doing this. Exactly. So, Tim, welcome to the Cactus Lounge.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate it. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. We should have looked for a cactus background. That's what we should have done. Not too late.
No, I don't want to sit on anything like
You don't
that.
sit on a cactus. So, Tim, a lot of alumni know you because you helped through the years. Tell everyone where you were living when you first learned about Up With People, and maybe where you saw a show for you.
Yeah. Do I talk to you or do I talk
Either
to
one. We'll look at them now and then.
So it seems like I've said this to too many people, so you probably already know the story. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I was going to college, and Up With People was coming to Battle Creek, Michigan, about half an hour away.
Okay.
And I got a call from my dad's secretary's husband. He's the president of the Optimist Club. And they thought, oh, because I'd been in some shows in college and high school and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, maybe Tim would like to do this. So I joined about 100 youth from Kalamazoo, because they were going to start a sing-out, local sing-out. So we all met and climbed on the buses and went to Battle Creek and saw the show, and I was blown away.
What year was that?
That was 1974, December of 74. It was cast B, 74B.
Okay.
And I ended up coming Up With People that summer, and that started the career.
And so, do you remember who interviewed you?
Yes, I do. Skip Searcy.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember the other guy, but I do remember I answered a question that they had asked, and I saw the other guy roll his eye. Okay, well,
this is going well.
That's the end of that.
When I think back on that, I always wonder, did I say something snarky? Was I being sarcastic and they didn't get my the humor or something like that?
Well, that's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so 75. Did you know at that point that there was going to be this bicentennial show? And did you guys stage in Tucson?
We did stage in Tucson. I think so.
Okay.
It wasn't about where we were going. I don't think you ever knew where you were going to be going. But I do recall something about bicentennial. So
Caleb reminds me that we have to mention the 200-year celebration in America. Okay. I'm like, okay, there's people that don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so you get to Tucson for staging, right?
Yeah.
Did you immediately, because when we traveled, you were my show manager, so did you sing? Were you chosen to sing like right away because you'd been singing, or how did
it? So it was a regular kind of thing where you go in these module kind of things, and you sing along with 8 other people, and then they point at you, and you're the one that's singing or whatever.
Yeah.
And the same thing with movement or dance or whatever.
Right.
And,
right.
There was a lineup of shirts, we called them.
Yeah.
And that
were they yellow that year?
I don't know. Probably. I was a shirt later the next year.
I remember that.
Yeah. So you're lining up in the women's gym and all mirrors in front of you, and you moved when they told you to move and that kind of stuff. Because I had the experience with Sing Out Kalamazoo, I ended up being kind of the director for that, the show director, and I was on the council, parent council, and I was a representative and that kind of stuff. So we did only Up With People songs. And so
you already knew a lot.
I knew a lot. I knew
getting there.
Yeah.
Were you a tenor?
I'm a baritone.
Yeah.
But in Up With People, I'm a tenor.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, because they didn't have a lot of tenors there. People over. So insane.
Always say to me, what did you sing? I'm like, if it was in the staff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, but I was a choral singer. Learned a little bit with Sing Out Kalamazoo not to be so chorally, but when I came up with, it's what color is God's skin, it was that kind of stuff, kind of thing. That didn't work. So I also had a pretty wide range, but I also had a good falsetto.
Oh, okay.
But other people that completely. I haven't had one since then. Since then.
Oh my
no,
gosh.
it is what it is.
That's funny. All right. So I met you, and you don't necessarily remember this, in the fall of 75. It was early in your tour because you guys were in Ohio.
I do remember it.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I think it was on a street.
Oh,
we were there. You were walking it. So I think I remember you outside for some reason.
That's very possible. So I
was the theater or
something. I was the PR team. I also baked a cake for you guys and decorated the cake for green room.
That was kind of.
I know. Super nice. So I interviewed there. You guys did. I remember somebody singing Saturday night in Toledo, Ohio. I spent a week there one day because you guys spent so much time in Ohio. This was not in the show. This was
that's a 6-week tour of Ohio. And then the second semester, I wasn't part of that cast second semester, but they came back to Ohio.
And you were breaking your groups of 150 or whatever were breaking into smaller groups, right?
Yeah. Okay. I was in cast C1.
Okay.
There's A1, 2, 3, B1, 2, 3, and C1, 2, 3. Basically.
Wow. And if I recall, I've talked to one or two other people that traveled around the same time. What I think of for our year was 75 or 80 shows. And I don't remember if and when we got time off, but from what I heard, 75, 76, you guys just performed almost nonstop.
Well, when we would include high school assemblies, because we did a hell of a lot of high school assemblies.
Yep.
Somebody put together this whole thing about statistics and everything, and it was average 2.5 shows a day.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And most of them were just with once you send out PR teams and all that kind of stuff, I think we had a performing group of about 35.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and the setup was not nearly as elaborate and that kind of stuff, but we didn't have genie towers. We didn't have all that stuff. So you had to hang everything, or you had to.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, yes, then 76 comes around. That's when I met you. And so you were a yellow shirt. And were you there were you doing dance and music? Like, I don't remember.
Well, so I was a student the first semester. Second semester, we went to Europe.
Oh,
that was an important part of my experience. So that was Yugoslavia and Poland and all that kind of stuff. So that was, there was a few people taken from all the 9 groups.
Oh, right.
We made up another group and went to Europe.
Okay.
So we did the Super Bowl, the beginning of that semester, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the people that were in Cast C were pissed at me that I was doing that.
Of course, because they're back in Ohio.
Yeah. So, but then I was hired on as a show manager. So I wasn't a dance captain or a vocal coach. I was a show manager.
Okay. That, I guess that makes sense.
So that was pretty quick.
Yeah. All right. So you travel, you're a show manager, and then you had a long history with in various jobs. How did that transpire? Like, as you move through things, because I'm assuming that you were a cast manager at some time or something like that.
Yeah. So back then it was called a cast director. So I did the show manager year in 76.
Yeah.
And then 77, I was a cast director.
Okay.
On the road.
Okay.
And then
what was your do you remember your cast that year? I know you did so many things. Do you remember?
Oh, 77C.
77C.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We still get together. I'm gonna go to Walt Disney World in a couple of weeks and meet up with some of them.
That's fun. Nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Good.
Nice.
And then I moved into the office in 78.
Okay. 3103 North
Carolina. You got it. And I was in the admissions department.
Okay.
For a couple of years. During that time, my wife that we met in Cast C our first year.
And lied to us all through 76, because that wasn't happening.
You couldn't
tell her.
No. So you guys figured, some people figured it out.
Yeah, but I was not very bright.
Very bright, you're just not our clueless.
Thank you, Tim. Oh my God.
Yeah. So then, I was in admissions, and what happened. Then during that time, we're talking about the end of the 70s into the 80s.
Right.
And the powers that be decided they wanted to have some married couples or older people to be able to lead the cast. And so Shar and I got married in 79. And then we were co-cast directors in 80, 81.
So you'd been in the office, and now you're back on the road.
Back on the road.
Yeah. What was that like?
Loved it.
Did you?
Well, I loved the road life. It really suited me well, and I couldn't wait for the next day. And
that's neat.
That kind of dude.
What was it like being married cast direct? I know it happened a lot. A cast as time went on. There were a lot of cast couples that traveled together. Was that a different experience for you after having gotten married and kind of co-leading?
Yeah. Well, I think we both brought different things to the. I was more free form and she was more regimented and planned. Planned. What's that?
Planned. That's what we did today. We planned.
Yeah. So it was. I believe it was we loved it. Nice. It was great, and it was also something we were very familiar with. So our first year of marriage, it was not easy because we both could skin the cat lots of different ways, and then trying to do it together. That first year, like a lot of marriages, you're trying to figure things out. And so going back on the road was okay. Now we know what we're doing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Great as a team.
Yeah.
And we always, if we had differing opinions or wanted to make a decision on something, we, did it on our own, and then we came out together with the same decision.
Oh, nice. So it wasn't like you were arguing in front of the cast out front about things.
No.
That's neat.
But we would leave the cast sometimes, and we'd just say we're going to go work on our marriage. So that became a cast thing. Tim and Shelley, they're working on
their marriage.
That's code for.
By the way, just so you know, he has wine too. He just hasn't picked it up and had us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for lunch. So that's cool. I didn't know that. Those are the years that I was then back in Ohio and having my kids and stuff like that. Yeah. And really,
you got married before we did, I think.
No, I got married in 80, so a year after. Okay. But then I was back, and that was when I tease, with the young people. You didn't text every day. You had to write letters. You had to know where people were. You had to know phone numbers and collect calls, right? Still back then. So it was very different staying in touch,
Oh, yeah. Well, the expectation wasn't there.
That's true.
Either.
That's true.
Yeah.
I thought about that driving here last night and this morning with my GPS. And I was thinking, you guys went to big cities. I did PR in Laredo, Texas, just one place. But the people that did PR all the time or within, the whole idea of getting around cities back then compared to now.
Well, the Rand McNally.
Yeah.
We used it. I think we had a but yeah, you lived with that. And I love maps.
Do you?
Still love maps. And
yeah. You got that fancy card that gives you your map now, right?
Yeah, but I have it so when it's steering me, right?
Yeah.
But I'm watching it, and I have it so if I'm traveling south, it's going down. I'm not one of those that turns the map around, or you can turn the map on your screen around.
Yeah.
And it's going, no, I want to know where I am. I want my north and I want my west, all that.
Like to be where if I'm going north,
because I don't get lost as easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where am I?
Yeah. All right. So years go by. You've worked for Up With People for a lot of years. Were you still with Up With People when the offices moved up here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was. So after our cast director experience, then I worked in scheduling.
Okay.
So, worked with the schedulers that in North America. And
okay.
I did that for about 4 years.
Okay.
And then there was an opening in alumni. And so I became the director of alumni relations, whatever we called it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they also decided we're going to have the cast director position be based in the office, and that happened in '86.
Okay.
And so I told Dale Penny, who was responsible for everything at that time, I said, I can't stay with Up to People if I'm not that in the cast director, because that's what I love. That fit me. Alumni was wonderful and great, but you're sitting behind a desk. You're not out and having impact or wanting to have an impact on youth and what's going on. So I ended up doing that until I left Up with People in 95.
95.
Yeah.
And so you guys had relocated from Tucson to
In 93.
In 93,
Yep.
you guys came up here
Yep.
and bought a home in Broomfield, right?
Yep, correct.
And then you left Up with People entirely and you went to another company. What was that? Was
That was, yeah, that was in that time frame before I came back.
So
I was 20 years from 75 till 95. And then thank goodness for people like Chris Fowler-Rabusi, who had moved on to be in human resources for a translation company in Boulder. And so she had me as a contractor to do recruiting and all that kind of stuff. And then from then I actually ended up staying with that company and became the director of human resources when Chris moved on. I was there for 5 years.
I was thinking 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And then you came back to Up with People, but in a whole different format, right?
Yeah. So I was gone from Up with People for 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Okay. I didn't know that.
Other human resources jobs for other companies.
Okay.
That company was bought by somebody else.
Okay.
And so, in 2005, I heard this big sucking sound, and it was Paul Whitaker who was contracting with Up with People at the time to figure out what they're going to do.
Okay.
And so that's during WorldSmart, which is WorldSmart was a wonderful program, and it was Up with People learned a lot from that experience. And so, but it didn't have the show portion as much, and it wasn't as external. And so the board decided we're going to do something different. So then they needed somebody to head up admissions.
Okay.
So I came back. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Big circle.
Wow.
And then I did a lot of different jobs there too.
And so the kids at camp, that's what I'm saying. You know so many from across the years because you worked in various capacity, you know.
Yeah.
Across the years.
Yeah. Loved it. It was a great experience. And it really set me up for heading up Camp Up with People, starting that program. And that's probably, if people ask me, what did you like the best about your career with Up with People? And cast management was a big part of it, but it was really Camp Up with People.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because of the impact of younger lives?
Is the impact of younger lives, but also I was able to have responsibility for all aspects. From recruiting the students to putting together the program to finding the facilities to making all the
skill sets.
Every single thing that I had learned through Up with People all came together all at once. So
that's neat.
It was great. It's great. I loved it. I did that for 4.5 years, 5 years, something like that. Yeah. Wow. And then another sucking sound happened, and Penny came back into
Dale Penny came back.
Dale came back as president. He asked me to help with different projects while I was still doing the camp thing. Yeah. And one of them was to go to Cuba. We then became the experience programs. And it was wonderful. I loved it. And it was there that he said, Tim, I'd like to have you come back up with people full time and help us out. Wow. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So a couple of the questions that I tend to ask everybody is, yours is, I'm going to ask you a little different. Instead of what were your first costumes? Because I know what they were. Do you have a
No, we look like we worked at McDonald's. That's true. We always said. The girls were in yellow and pink. No, yellow and orange and green.
As were we.
Yeah. Different look. Yes. Like the same colors. And the guys had either a light blue shirt and dark blue pants, or the reverse. And then we had this jacket that had like these orange lines that looked like, and then it's like we just needed to put on that hat that they used to have at McDonald's, and we looked like we worked there.
All that good old polyester.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but it lasted
it lasts forever. And so through the years the costumes clearly changed, and that was the area that I worked in when I helped in the summer. Right. And I remember telling Paul Caldwell that I said something super sarcastic to PJ. I know. So Lynn Morris and PJ, Paul Johnson, right? PJ, yeah. And Ralph were up in the costume room, and I made some sarcastic comment about a 50s, a flapper dress, and they all just looked at me And I thought, they don't know me at all. They don't know that I'm kidding. And Ralph would say something really calm, like, thank you, Donna. That's a great. Just,
That's love. That's our Ralph.
So you've been so many places, Tim, with people on your own. You know, I know that you went on that Africa experience not too long ago. Yeah. Is there any place that you haven't been that's really on a bucket list for you?
I have a few places.
Okay.
First of all, Alaska would be my last state, so I want to do Alaska.
Yeah.
And I want to go to Greece. I've never been there before. There are a couple of places I can't think of at the top of my head, but I know I have had the fortune of going to a lot of places around the world. My two favorite countries I guess I could still say that. I would always say when people would ask me, was Mexico because of the people, and Switzerland because of the beauty. It's like every square, I'm OCD. And so every square inch of Switzerland was manicured.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go anywhere.
That's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I just did the interview with Caleb. And so that will play before this one. But I remember when we came to Tucson and they put your name on the bulletin board and we were like, Mexico. Oh. And then I live so close and I've been back, and you love it because of the people. But when you're like, oh, I'm going to travel internationally.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah. Well, many of my years as cast director from 86 until really 95 or whatever when I ended, there were Nordic countries, and primarily Sweden and Finland, but certainly Norway and Denmark. Yeah. But
the hearts of them.
It was always in January and February.
Time to go north.
Yeah, but that's when people are there.
That's true.
Otherwise, they're in their summer homes or they're away, whatever, when the weather's nice. Yeah. And so I really love those cultures and the people there, and the crunches of the snow when you're driving down the street. Yeah, it's really. And I'm from Michigan, so I like driving and stuff.
Yeah, sure. That's Minnesota.
Okay. So, is that a Norwegian thing?
Or no, I just make it up.
Okay.
I go to
that's it. Yeah. I can't even do it anymore. You suck it in, you know? It's there saying, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what about food? As a fellow Midwesterner, you kind of grow up with certain things that are fairly common. Is there anything that you ate while you were traveling that you thought, I will never in a million years eat this again? Or is there anything that you tried that you absolutely had never had and you love? That's a lot. You've traveled a lot. So that.
Well, I came from Midwest, and my mom was a teacher, and she didn't cook a lot. Okay. She wasn't really good at it, but she made great pies. She was the pie maker.
The pie.
So all of us. So I have an older sister and an older brother and a younger brother, and all of our spouses are great cooks, and we had no idea that food could taste like that. And anyway, so when people, they'd say, "Oh, we're going to have spinach, or we're going to or liver, or which." As a kid, you take a bite of my mom's liver that she would make, and you just chewed it and chewed it and chewed it, and it was all strings, and it was just horrible. And so when a host family would say, "Oh yeah, we're going to have spinach," I was like, "Oh, you're not going to have to eat that." But then it was good, and they knew how to make it.
Do something.
That happened with a number of things that I would not have wanted to eat it. But I grew to like mussels.
Yeah, I'm not a mussels fan.
Oh yes. Yeah, no. It's like eating snot to me. It's not worth it.
The best part about these is that they're not edited. It's a real tip. No. That is true. I remember, so I was at the Skyline Country Club with Benoit Stroyer. There we were with his host family, and we were at a seafood buffet. And he had more seafood than I had because he had grown up with, For me, it was lake perch from Lake.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully fried.
How do you eat this fish? And so I remember as we were walking through and our hosts were telling us to taste everything. And I looked at Boudoir and I was like, slimy. It's, so I guess, yeah. And we just tried things and tried things. So funny. All right. What about anything that you loved? Loved. Made on the road?
That I ate on the road?
Like, did you try anything like that you've never had?
Paella in Spain.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't, shrimp was a foreign word to me, but just, you go any place that has good food. And I'd say Italy, you can't get a bad meal.
That's true.
There, everything from the little shack-ish kind of thing that's in the corner somewhere. Whoa.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm not a foodie, so I don't think about food. I miss lunches often. I don't even think about eating.
Miss lunch. Miss lunch.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Yeah, right. Unless it comes to dessert and pie. Then I have a reverse meal sometimes.
There you go.
I'll start with that.
Everybody towards the end of their life, I hear that they're all like, "Yep, eat dessert first, right?" I just eat the good wine.
Yeah. Well, this is Kirkland boxed wine. And it's not bad, is it? I know. It's the first time I've tried it, and I thought, no,
we went
$18.
Patio. Too funny. Yeah. Any songs from through all of the years? Okay, have any of you ever heard Tim sing? He kind of did a lot of roads, and we know his voice. He has sung a lot to all of us at many reunions. Anything that you loved, Tim?
Other than roads?
Other than roads. I told him he can't say that, so that's why I just talked about it. There's like 400 other songs.
Yeah. Well, it's not an Uplift People song, but Herb Allen did a version of Prayer of St. Francis in Italian. I don't do Italian. But he obviously adapted it to English, and I've now sung it at a number of funerals and things like that. And it's one of my favorite songs to do. And then another song that was Tommy Sullivan, Beauty's in the Eye of the Beholder. I've sung that at a few events.
For your younger alumni, if you don't know who Tommy Sullivan is, you'll have to Google him. So
yeah. Was on the board of Uplift People and helped with music stuff and everything. He's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
I always think, at reunions, there's always these backing tracks now, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're lucky enough to have a full band, and they choose what we're going to sing, and they give us and so it's always the same thing.
Because that's what they know. They have backing tracks.
I know. I always want to do the oddball ones. I want to do like, hey y'all, throw me the ball, and here's to all your parents raising kids, and just memorable to Spanish, because I think that would be a blast, but nobody ever asks me.
So is that a cue for me to ask you next time?
Yeah. What do you want to do next time? Come on, Tim. Not that you're in charge of this.
No, but I could. Sometimes you kind of can tell people, you should really answer that. Okay.
Or roll their eyes and be like,
Donna who?
Exactly. When we traveled, gap year wasn't a big thing, and now there's tons and tons of young people who are saying, and parents who are agreeing that it's okay to not go straight to college, or to not start work right away, or to figure out a little bit about what you want to do. And there's many options.
Oh, a lot.
What would you say about your Uplift People experience to maybe a 17-year-old? Now, a whole lot of people our generation have grandkids that are 17.
Well, first of all, I'm much better in talking to the parents about what their kid will benefit from.
Oh, that's
the
neat.
experience.
Okay.
And as I've gotten older, I don't do interviews. I haven't done interviews for participants in a long time.
Okay.
I took myself out of that game because I thought everybody was going to be great. Nobody's going to be able to learn something, and so why not? So I realized that's probably not the person to be doing this. But it was, doing something bigger than yourself. And then, asking them, have you ever done something bigger than yourself? What is it? Blah, blah, that kind of stuff.
And you would say this to parents?
I would say this to parents.
Oh,
and then
okay.
When I'm talking with young people who are considering this or whatever, and have it be something that is really hard that you've never done before, that takes you out of your comfort zone constantly, because that's where real growth takes place. And those that will only room with one other person or always be on the same bus with somebody or whatever, they're not having the experience that they need to have to grow and develop and realize what they can do. And so and then when I worked in human resources for a number of companies, and I came back up with people and I realized that what are employers looking for? So there are like 5 things. Don't ask me what they are, but there are 5 main things that an employer is looking for.
Okay.
From, being a good team player and taking initiative and doing something that needs to get done, whether it's in your job description or not, but needs to happen. Those kinds of things. You learn that in people without even knowing it. So that when you get back and if you can relay those experiences to,
like, sure, I can do that.
Is that, well, this is an example of what I did. And because employers will always ask, well, give me an example of, how you dealt with this kind of situation. And so those kinds of things can fit into what you're telling the interviewer.
I've talked to a lot of people and I've asked a lot of people those questions, Tim, and I don't know that anybody's ever answered it exactly that way. It's super interesting. And it's interesting for me, even working with young people in real estate. Like, why do you want to do this? What's going to make you any different than everybody? The other 5,000 realtors.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
Because that's what you have to do. What do you bring to the table that makes you different or unique? So good question.
As the years went on, I found myself like at camp and even with Cass is to early on, I'll say, you have to remember this is going to be an incredible experience for you if you give of yourself. But this program is going to change your life. And it's everything. It's not about you. It's about everybody else. By giving yourself to others, by making sure that others are doing well and that you're helping support them, you're going to learn a lot more about that. If it's all about what you're going to get, that's all you're going to get.
That's true.
And
me.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
part of the reason that I started even doing this is because I'm just so fascinated by the stories. It's people.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Oh, don't get me started on that. People who know me, that
it's
happens to me.
I think that is one of the things that other people did. I don't feel like I ever necessarily was prejudiced or maybe really strong opinion or anything, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
No.
And so then all of a sudden you're in somebody else's home in another town, in another country, in another world of a different age with a different language, and you just go, I couldn't even have envisioned this because it wasn't there, for you.
Well, I learned a lot of things, but one of the things was to be inquisitive and to be asking the questions, not to wait to be asked the question. You learn a lot more that way, having other people give you their thoughts or ideas or opinions or whatever. You go, oh, I never thought of it that way. If you're not asking those kinds of questions, you're not going to think differently. So
that's true. I speak French, right? We've been through that.
Not in my car, you don't. If Mr. Graff listens to this, he'll totally get it.
Jeez. You're driving me and Beth and Rhett to camp.
Oh, that's right.
It was a riot. I found my notebook from Mexico City, and it was when we made spreadsheets, Excel sheets out of notebook paper and stuff. But Karine and I roomed together in Mexico City, and neither one of us spoke Spanish. So we would take French words and put O's and A's on the end.
Yeah, it's either Italian or Spanish.
There was a green soup and we were trying to figure out what vegetable it was or something like that. And I found my notebook where I started writing words in French back in the spring of 70.
So that's when it happened.
Yeah.
Because of Corinne, primarily.
Yeah.
Because you didn't go to a French country.
No, it was because of her, and that created my interest in the language. Yeah.
You guys are still great friends.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
It's great that we draw family.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, folks. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or type them in later and ask, and then we'll make Tim answer or something. I don't know. Anything else you want to share, Tim, or you feel like we've...
You know, I fought this for how many years now have you been doing it?
I've been asking him to do this for a while. I had to come to lunch and be like, please, please, please.
Yeah, got me through the time. And
thank you.
so thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Today is, I don't know, what day is it? November what? November 8th. November 8th. We'll probably have this live at the end of the month, and I hope that a lot of you get to watch it. And thanks so much.
Take care, everybody. Wish I could see you directly, but I hope we're in touch as the years continue on.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.